And welcome back, and it's the 20th of April for the Maths 5 a day, and let's just jump straight to the first one. Right, now, as I say in some videos, I don't look at these questions before. I thought this was going to be work out the green shaded area, which is a bit of a classic question, but it's a twist on this question, isn't it? Because it's a, what is the perimeter? Okay, what do I have? So the circle below has equation this, which means the radius is 2, which means even without the scale that I know this is 2 and this is 2. I should make this question without the scale, shouldn't I? Because that will make it even better. The line has equation this, which means that I know this point here is 4 and this point here is 4. And then it says work out the perimeter. Now the way I'm going to think about this question is I'm going to work out this bit here and this bit here. So that's easy, isn't it? Because the difference between 4 and 2 and 4 and 2 is 2. So I know I've got 2 plus 2 as part of my perimeter. Then this long bit here, well, that's okay, because this is just a big right angle triangle. So that's just going to be, well, the length is 4 squared plus 4 squared square rooted, because it's just Pythagoras for the diagonal part. And then, of course, the difficult bit is going to be the curvy bit here. Well, the curvy bit there is just a quarter of a circle, so it's just going to be a quarter of the circumference, which is 2 times pi times the radius, which we already know is 2. And let's pull all this together. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 squared plus 4 squared is 32. The square root of 32 is 4 root 2. And a quarter times 2 is 1, which is just pi. And so that in exact form, let's just neaten that up, in exact form is my final answer. But let's just get my calculator out anyway. So I'll get my calculator out. That is approximately, I'm going to switch pen, I prefer blue. That's approximately 12.8 units. Good question. Next question. Given that sine theta equals this, work out two possible values. Okay, I know where this is going. Work out two possible values of cos theta. Now, if you just watch me do these videos and sort of think you know how to do this, have a go at this question just to check you know what the second one is. Right, hope you've had a go. Now, different people do this in different ways. You can use 1 plus cos squared, or 1 minus cos squared is fine. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to note that back in whatever it was, year 9, year 10, you did something called trig, and you learned that theta, sine is opposite, which is 15, over adjacent, which is 17, which means using Pythagoras, this is 17 squared minus 15 squared, which is 8, which means that I know cos theta is adjacent, which is 8, divided by hypotenuse, and there we go. That's only one solution though. The other solution comes from the idea that you recognise that cos theta does that, whereas sine theta does that. I've drawn that badly, but you know what I mean. Which means that I can also have a negative solution. So in other words, the answers to my questions are 8 over 17 and minus 8 over 17. In other words, the square root of plus minus. Next question. X dot y equals this. That's a clever question. Okay, let's write it out. So x, y, z. So x, y equals 2 to 9, and y to z equals 4 to 1. So far, so good. Then I'm going to make the same common denominator, if you like. So y the same. So I'm going to multiply this one by 4, which is going to give me 8 to 36. And I'm going to multiply this one by 9, which is going to give me 36 to 9. In other words, I make the y values both 36, which means I can write that z to x, so let's write x dot z is equal to 8 to 9. Okay, but we need to make that into a form that says z equals something. Now this here means I need to recognise that my x is 8 times larger than my z. So in other words, I need to, if my x is 8 times larger, I need to take my x and divide it by 8 in order to get my z. This means that my z is 9 times larger than my x. So in other words, I need to take my x and multiply it by 9. In other words, I don't want to say just switch them around, but that's basically what I'm doing. So I'm just saying that z equals 9 over 8 times x. Again, I know I often have to go through that and say a couple of times in lessons, but either way, hopefully you got there. Have a think about it. Let me know if that doesn't make sense. Next and final question. It says f of x equals x squared minus 4x for all values of x. State the range. Right, I'm going to do it. I don't know how you were supposed to do this question. I'm going to try and talk you through how I think about this. So f of x is x squared minus 4x. In other words, x minus 2 squared minus 4. And the reason I've done that is because I know the vertex is equal to 2 minus 4. which means I know this is a happy shaped parabola, and I know my vertex is 2 minus 4, which means the range of f of x is going to be all values that are greater than minus 4. So therefore f of x is all values that are greater than minus 4, not 4 minus 4. Which means f of 2x, well, what does 2x do? Well, 2x transforms it by stretching in the x direction by a scale factor of a half. In other words, it changes it into this thing here. But that doesn't affect the range at all. So therefore the range is exactly the same, which is also greater than or greater than equal to minus 4. Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. It's a hard one to explain. Either way, we got there. Really like that first question. Really clever. In fact, actually all the questions today were quite good, weren't they? Let me know how they went for you. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.